The Democratic Alliance is expected to end its policy conference with new plans to address economic injustices. Around 200 delegates are taking part in the virtual conference debating the values that will guide the party ahead of the 2021 local government elections. The party also adopted non-racialism as a policy. The DA has rejected race as a way of categorizing people. The conference stems from a review of that the party had commissioned following a decline in support during the 2019 election. The conference is wrapping up today. And we have the Democratic Alliance's spokesperson, Malatsi, who's joining us to talk more on the conference. Soli, good evening, and certainly a busy weekend for the Democratic Alliance. How has day 2 been?
Good evening to you and all the viewers. It's indeed been a busy 2 weeks, but it was preceded by a long period that culminated in this 2-day policy conference that took place yesterday and today virtually, which was, a groundbreaking development for us as an organization to be able to put together more than 200 delegates, all virtually over the course of 2 days. Day 1 was obviously dedicated to the values and principles document, which was adopted by an overwhelming majority of the delegates yesterday. And today the primary focus was on the draft economic justice policy, which, as you correctly indicated in your intro, has been a source of interest to not only members of the Democratic Alliance, but also externally in terms of what the DA's alternative economic offer is. And part of that is based on the idea of using redress to achieve non-racialism. And our proposal at the core of it is to use disadvantage as a means test to establish, to differentiate between people who have been denied opportunity, historically so, and the majority of whom are black. But the factors that has contributed to the denial of opportunities for prosperity include many multiple factors, to the extent that, more than 2 decades of democratic freedom in the country, there's been exacerbating factors that have contributed to the denial of opportunities to South Africans, ranging from corruption to spatial inequality, to lack of investments and savings to many of the population who are unable to access the opportunities that will give them a better kickstart in life.
And Soli, talking about the redress, there's been really some serious criticism against what the party has adopted, where it says that race itself does not exist. If you look back at also this issue of race, because it does continue to come up where the Democratic Alliance is concerned, even your former leader, Mmusi Maimane, is saying that if you say you do not see race, or you do not see color, then you don't see me. And those were his words. And some of the leaders that have left the Democratic Alliance are saying that race continues to be a problem in that particular political party. How then do you begin to have redress if you do not even look at race, particularly at what apartheid did, and looking at how one race was put at a disadvantage and not being able to enjoy some of, the opportunities that other races were enjoying?
Sure. The document, both from the values and principles document on reconciliation up to the economic justice policy documents, openly recognizes the impact that apartheid has in contributing to the denial of opportunities to black people. What the document proposes is that the intervention in addressing redress has to look at disadvantage, because disadvantage is measurable. You can conduct a means test, and that is why we propose the means test along the Sustainable Development Goals as a way to be able to identify the factors that contribute to economic inequality, so that the intervention is targeted to that. There is no denialism whatsoever in the documents and in the draft policy document that was eventually adopted today that racism exists in society.
And Soli, we cannot ignore, the things that we saw happening around this policy conference. Even this morning, we saw Phumzile van Dam coming out to say that she's fascinated by Sunday reports that she's going to be charged. And she says that she did not even know the contents of the report in which she will be charged on. And she even says that, this is a coincidence that this is, continually leaked, and also saying that she's not going to roll over and accept that her name is being thrown through, dragged through the mud. And I mean, surely this is concerning. Why was this information not shared with her?
Well, just to deal with how the Federal Legal Commission, which is the body that is empowered by the Constitution of the Democratic Alliance in how they do their work, they are a body that is independent of the federal executive of the organization. They're empowered to, investigate when complaints have been submitted to them that are possibly in violation of either the Constitution of the organization or the Code of Conduct for Public Representatives. Obviously, in the application of law, each and every case is unique. It has its unique facts that must be investigated in that way. The one thing that I do know about the processes of the organization and the workings of the FLC is that it does its work fairly, it does its work impartially, and it is led by a reputable individual together with a team of reputable individuals who are ethical professionals who cannot be sucked in by the political temperature in the organization at any chance. So obviously, for me, I do not communicate on ongoing investigations of the work of the FLC, because when the FLC does their work, they do it independently of the federal executive, and then communicate once those instances have been finalized.
Is there a purge of leaders that were aligned to Mmusi Maimane?
Absolutely not. A purge means that individuals are targeted for the sole belief in one idea. And if I get you correctly, the way you are putting is that it is because of individuals who have previously expressed support for our former leader, Mmusi Maimane. There hasn't been a purge. There are people who supported Mmusi Maimane as the leader of the Democratic Alliance, even after the election last year when the party did not do well. You will remember that there was one federal executive meeting where the leadership, the entire leadership of the federal executive came out strongly in support of Mmusi Maimane and Athol Trollip at the time, and those individuals still remain in the party. So of course there are people who have left to pursue their political aspirations elsewhere, and for whatever reasons that have been publicly so published, some of which we disagree with, but there is absolutely no purge whatsoever of black leaders in the Democratic Alliance.
And Soli, ahead of the policy conference, we saw the resignation of John Moody, and he did cite quite a lot of, distress when it comes to his time in within the Democratic Alliance, and even saying that it's not the same anymore. And then we saw, the release of the statement suggesting that he was running away from charges. I posed this question to your head of policy yesterday, but didn't really get much of an answer, and I would like to really pursue this with you as the spokesperson. If John Moody was facing charges, internal charges within the political party, how then was he then able to find himself being a candidate of running for being in the leadership of the party?
Because of justice. Everyone is presumed innocent until they've been found guilty. And that is a principle that is applicable even in our Constitution. Nothing in our Constitution prevents an who is facing charges or under investigation by the Federal Legal Commission from being a candidate. And that is the beauty of having an institution that is based on the rule of law, because the rule of law means that it must be applicable fairly and consistently regardless of who it applies to in that instance.
Soli, as a final question from me tonight, we saw, resignations. We saw Mmusi, we saw Herman Mashaba, we saw John Moody, among others, and there really is a resounding, concern here that says that it doesn't look like black leaders in the DA are in fact, one, enjoying the support, but secondly, are being treated fairly. You're seeing all these things. I'm sure you've been seeing what they even said themselves when they were stepping down and what John Moody has said. As a black person within the Democratic Alliance right now, how does this make you feel?
Well, it is never a glorious moment to see colleagues leave the organization, more so people who have worked hard in the past for the growth of the organization. And no right-thinking individual on earth would rejoice the departures of people you have previously worked with. So it is always sad to see people leave. Those of us who remain behind, who remain committed to the cause, have to carry the torch forward to continue to make this organization work, because we believe in its work. We believe that it represents the most credible alternative to providing and leading South Africa into a prosperous nation. We believe that the ideas that we believe in remain, the best solutions on the table, and we continue to demonstrate this where we govern through the extension of opportunities that uplift the indigent out of poverty and enhancing opportunity in those communities. So the reality of the situation is that, yes, people come and go, people's experiences are different, but, the work continues.
But I really want to canvass you further there. You say that people come and go, but these were not just people. These were leaders. These were people that are coming out to paint an organization that appears to be racist. The perception is still there that the DA is not kind to black leaders. You are a black DA member, and I need you to give me your personal view on this. One, are you getting enough support? But secondly, are you worried as a DA member when it comes to this continuous perception that the DA is racist?
There are many colleagues in the organization, like myself, like many other black members of the organization and leaders who remain committed to making the DA work. We serve at different levels of the organization, and never in any forum have we made to feel unwelcome or think that our contributions are not taken into consideration merely because of our race or our gender.